Hello, America, and hello, everyone across the world. I would like to talk to you about a very serious subject called abuse of power. Abuse of power is when someone holds a certain position, such as authorities, or, court systems, such as prosecutors or judges. They have a little power behind their job and they abuse that power towards innocent people. Unfortunately, there's been several cases where the police have abused their power, mainly towards black men and minorities. Not only that, but the court system where the prosecutors have falsified evidence and the judges have been in cahoots to convict innocent black men or minorities. Now, I'm not saying that just because someone's not black or a minority that they can't be abused by the authorities. That's not what I'm saying at all. So I want to make that clear. But unfortunately, the world we live in, a lot of times the police specifically target black men. And the reason I want to talk to you about this subject is because there's a young man by the name of Willie Larkins in Montgomery, Alabama. Back in 2012, July 26th of 2012, Willie was framed by the Montgomery Police Department. Now, a lot of you may ask, why would Willie have been framed by the police? Well, Willie has a prior record. And because he have a prior record, they wanted to frame him to make their story look more believable. Because most of the time when you have a prior record and something happens, first, and you say that you didn't do it, most people aren't going to believe you because you have a prior record, and that's what they wanted, to be able to deceive people. And not to mention, a lot of people don't like to necessarily question the authorities when they say something out of fear. A lot of people are intimidated by the police. But as far as my feelings, I don't think anybody should be intimidated by a person because of their position, because police officers, prosecutors, and judges are just human beings, imperfect human beings at that. And they do make mistakes and do crooked things, just like any other Joe Blow off the streets. So I don't know why people are so surprised. What really bothers me is that a lot of people tend to fear police officers or, judges or prosecutors, but yet and still they don't fear the Creator, Jehovah God. If it was me, I would rather fear Jehovah rather than fear another man. So a lot of people, I'm quite sure a lot of people is probably thinking that's a pretty bold statement to make and put out here on YouTube. But my thing is, I don't fear any man but God, because man can't save themselves. They can't stop themselves from getting sick. They can't stop themselves from dying. They are just imperfect human beings, and a lot of times, unfortunately, people, I don't know how to put this. A lot of times people just like to be manipulating, and what I mean by manipulating is a lot of people in this world like to hold up an image, so to say. A lot of people like to be deceitful. I just kind of feel like we live in a world based upon lies, because people go by image. And what I mean by people go by image is a lot of times the police, bosses or, other affiliates, that are part of the whole authority system would know this type of behavior is going on, but sit back and do absolutely nothing until the police are caught red-handed. And when it goes to the public's eye, then everybody and their father and their mothers run into the rescue, pretending like, oh, I'm not going to tolerate this type of behavior, or I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that. But yet and still, you've known about this behavior the whole time and did absolutely nothing about it. As far as Willie case goes, what first made me get suspicious of the police is their stories changed a million times. So when their stories kept changing a million times, I knew something wasn't right. So in order to get to the bottom of what was going on, I knew I was going to have to dig deeper into the situation to find out exactly what was going on. Willie was accused of 4 counts of first-degree robbery. Willie was accused of robbing an off-duty police officer's business and his worker, which was a female. The off-duty police officer's name is Jason Thornton. He owns a cash advance store on West Ferry Road, and his worker is Rachel Bowles. They claim on July 26 around 6:46 that Willie came into the store, robbed the lady after talking to her for 5 minutes, and Jason supposedly chased him, and he jumped into a getaway car who was driven by Albert, who is Willie's cousin on his father's side. Now, the way Willie was entwined in this whole story and actually set up is because Albert, Willie's cousin, is a police informer. And Willie had just met Albert a couple months before this incident had happened. Willie was actually at a place called Life Tech, and he had just been released from Life Tech 7 days before this incident even occurred. And Willie had just met Albert before going to Life Tech because Albert was incarcerated and just getting ready to be released. Willie didn't grow up around his father's side of the family. Albert is related to him on his father's side of the family. But Willie didn't know that Albert was a police informer, which is fine if that's what he wants to do. But unfortunately, the police asked Albert to find someone with the prior records to put some robbery charges on, and he told them about Willie. Albert now regrets his actions because he know it was wrong for him to, get his cousin involved in all this nonsense. I kind of feel like now he regrets his actions to this day, but sometimes, it's a little bit too late when you do certain things. You can't just go back and undo them, But the way the real story happened is on July 26th between 5:30 and 6 o'clock, the cash advance was robbed by Albert, who the police hired to do the robberies for them. And Jason, the owner, did a fake chase basically along with some more officers, and Albert fell in a lady's yard during the chase. And when he fell in the lady's yard, that's when Jason and the officers caught him brought him back to the crime scene and showed Rachel, look, we caught the robber, so you can calm down, basically. And so once they did that, they let Albert go and change clothes and then pick up Willie. Willie lived at least like 10 minutes from the police station. So once they knew that Albert had Willie with him, they did a fake 911 call literally almost an hour later, stating a robbery in progress. The way Albert was able to get Willie to go with him is he invited him to dinner, and Willie sat at his house for a couple minutes, and the wife said, hey, I need something taken back to the store. He said, can it wait? and she said, no, I need to pay a bill. So